He spent years leading endgame raids in the world's most popular virtual reality game. Then a spear took him in the chest and he died on the battlefield. Now he is 40 years in the past.
You are Sufei, and also Brendel.
Trapped in the body of a weak level 1 militia recruit, he still possesses every secret, quest location, and strategy from 40 years of future gaming. An invading skeleton army is marching through the valley. The entire kingdom will burn in 3 months. He has 1 hit point left, 0 gear, and no backup. What follows is a desperate breakout through enemy lines, hidden divine class, unlocks, and the dirtiest dungeon speedrun ever executed. He will build an army out of terrified village recruits before the Dark Lords even realize who is hunting them. The story begins in a dark stone hallway where a dead boy opens his eyes. This guy is a top guild commander in a virtual reality game, but after wiping to a massive undead army, he wakes up as a level 1 NPC 40 years in the past. Right now, it is year 44 of the second epic. Sufei holds the front line for the Forces of God Guild. His human army clashes with the Madara undead. Our boy hits the battlefield like a meteor. His golden sword light shatters the skeletal vanguard. The enemy answers with a level 150 permafrost skeleton dragon. Blue fire rains down on the human ranks. Sufei does not even blink. He orders the ballistas to fire. Glowing bolts impale the dragon. Sufei leaps into the sky and takes its head clean off. He lands perfectly. Sufei tells the thing to crawl back to hell. The victory is cut short. Sufei looks over the ridge and his blood runs cold. The Black Ash Knights are charging through the red mist. The allied guild guarding the flank has abandoned their post. They are completely surrounded. Sufei orders his men to break through while he holds the rear guard. A blood-covered spear takes him right in the chest. He drops to his knees. Defeat tastes like ash. They were 1 battle away from triggering the kingdom revival quest.
Warning, excessive blood loss, life in critical condition.
The game screen fades to black. Sufei waits to be logged out so he can go flame the allied guild on the forums. He opens his eyes. He is in a dark stone hallway. He pushes a skeleton away and sits up. He is still in the game, but something is very wrong. He checks his wound. It is on his stomach now, not his chest. He also has a nasty corpse rot debuff. His high-tier avatar should be immune to this trash. All his endgame gear is gone. The undead bandits stripped him clean. He stumbles down the corridor. The architecture looks exactly like the southern Aowing kingdom. The pain is blinding. He never downloaded the pain mod for his headset. He needs a teleport waypoint immediately. He looks out the arched window. There is a peaceful medieval village under the stars.
This is Buxy.
Sufei freezes. Bukai is the beginner village. It was destroyed years ago in the timeline. A horrifying realization hits him. It is the year of flowers and summer leaves, the exact year the first Black Rose War began. He slumps against the wall. If it is 40 years in the past, then who is he playing as?
You are Sufei, and also Brendel.
Memories flood his mind. 2 lifetimes merge. He remembers being a top guild player, and he remembers being a young local boy named Brendel who dreamed of being a swordsman. Brendel just died to a scout skeleton in this very hallway. Their souls are now one. Sufei cannot believe it. He actually transmigrated into the game world. This new body is pathetic. Brendel was supposed to be the best swordsman in the village, and he died to cannon fodder. But Sufei grins. He knows the future. The kingdom is destined to burn, but none of it has happened yet. He grabs a sword. If time can flow backward, anyone can become a savior. He is going to save this kingdom himself. He checks the hallway. Brendel was killed by a scout, which means more undead are roaming the manor. He walks up to a large oil painting. The undead were clearly searching this place for something. Our boy taps the frame with his sword. A hidden compartment pops open. A silver ring hits the floor.
Ring of the Wind Empress. Dexterity +1. Wind bullet attack absorbs 1 point of energy every 10 minutes. Can store up to 3 charges.
Sufei slides it onto his finger. Cyan lightning crackles up his arm. This is a god-tier starter item from a hidden quest only Day 1 players remember. Heavy footsteps echo outside the hall. A towering skeletal knight steps through the doorway, burning with dark purple flames. Sufei crouches in the shadows. There are 2 guards. They have the same tiny aggro radius as they did in the game. Back in the day, he could wipe out 100 of these with a flick of his wrist. In this weak body, one is a lethal threat. He needs a distraction. He throws a wooden block across the hall. The skeletons turn and march toward the noise. They are just as brain dead as he remembers. He slips past them and runs into another room. It is Brendel's grandfather's study. The old man was a war veteran. Sufei raids the wooden cabinets and finds medical bandages. He bites down on a leather strap and wraps his bleeding waist tightly. Basic game first aid still works here. Green healing particles swirl around him. The bleeding stops. He holds his hands out and calls for his status window.
Personal info. Brendel. Human male, level 1. Militia, level 1. Health weakened, bandaged state. Recovers 1 health per day. Strength 110, Dexterity 2.0, Constitution 0.9.
Sufei drops his hands. Militia level 1 is a garbage starting class. Even a basic skeleton has higher base strength than him. He is playing on hell mode. He needs to escape and warn the village patrol. He glances out the window and freezes. There is an entire undead army massing in the courtyard. 3 squads of skeletons and 3 hooded liches. The war has officially begun. One of the necromancers suddenly snaps his head toward the window. Sufei presses his back flat against the wall. He forgot about level suppression. The high-level lich can sense his heartbeat. The necromancer orders a full sweep of the house. The front door is blocked. Sufei runs for the back corridor. Dozens of red-eyed skeletons crash through the back hallway, cutting off his escape route. He is totally boxed in. Sufei raises his ring hand and activates the wind bullet. A massive cyan vortex blasts down the narrow corridor. Skeletons are pulverized into bone dust. The entire wall blows out. The destruction is insane. It was just a tiny spell in the game, but here it hits like a bomb. He checks the ring. The cooldown is 6 hours. He is defenseless. In the courtyard, the senior necromancer screams at his men. They need to take the intruder alive before the human army notices the noise. A fresh wave of shield skeletons storms the broken hallway. Sufei falls back into the kitchen. A sword slices through the door panel just as he slams it shut. He shoves a heavy wooden cabinet against the frame. Historically, the village patrol misjudged this invasion and the kingdom fell. He has to get the warning out. He spots flour sacks and cooking oil. If he cannot run, he will make sure the whole village sees him. A massive column of fire explodes from the villa, lighting up the night sky. The necromancer loses his mind and orders his troops to surround the burning building. Sufei leaps out a side window as the roof caves in. He apologizes to Brendel for burning his house down, but it is for a good cause. Across town at the garrison, a girl named Roman storms into the office demanding they go put out the fire. Captain Martin looks out his window at the blazing inferno. A fire that big in the middle of the night is not an accident. Martin knows young Brendel is a good kid. Something is wrong. He sounds the battle alert and orders the cavalry to mount up. Back at the villa, the necromancer threatens to feed his skeletons to the dogs if they do not drag the rat out of the fire. Sufei lands hard in a back alley. The wound in his gut is screaming. The realism of this world puts full dive VR to shame. He sprints down the cobblestones. He has to reach Martin and tell him this is not a raid, it is a strategic invasion. 3 armored skeletons step out of the shadows to block his path. More troops march in from behind, cutting off his retreat. Madara officers are using flanking maneuvers on a single militia boy, absolutely no notes. He has to end this fast. Sufei dives into the melee, parrying blades in a shower of sparks. A sword cuts his shoulder. He is playing with an NPC template, not a hero body. He cannot trade blows. But he remembers one crucial game mechanic. Every class gets 3 chances to defy fate on their first level up.
Experience points 5. Upgrade available.
He smiles. He selects the militia upgrade mid-swing.
Random talents times 3.
3 golden cards appear in his vision. He prays to the goddess for invincibility.
Talent name, Eagle Eye. Increases vision range by 30%.
Useless for a melee fighter. He draws the second card.
Meditation. Restores an additional 1.5% of max mana every 10 minutes.
He cannot cast a single spell. He flips the third card.
Talent name, Unyielding.
A skeletal blade slashes down. The sword goes straight through Sufei's chest. He drops to his knees. That should be game over. But this dude just got the best top-tier talent in the game. Bright blue spirit energy erupts from his body. He stands back up. The skeletons freeze. Sufei lunges forward in a streak of blue energy and cuts a skeleton in half.
Unyielding. You will not pass out from blood loss and cannot die for 30 minutes except by decapitation or destruction of the heart.
He slashes through the confused guards. They literally think he is a fellow zombie. The necromancer realizes what is happening and screams a forced attack order. Dozens of skeletons shake off the illusion and charge him all at once. Sufei is completely out of gas. Cavalry horses burst into the alley. Captain Martin tramples the front line, cutting down skeletons with heavy sword strikes. Martin pulls his horse up next to Sufei and asks if he started the fire. Sufei yells that the whole village is surrounded by Madara's main army. Martin realizes the horrific scale of the threat. He orders his officers to ride out and raise the alarm. Sufei's vision goes dark as the unyielding timer expires. He falls forward. Martin catches him off the saddle. Martin calls for Freya, his blonde female officer. He drops the unconscious boy onto her horse. Freya begs to stay and fight. Martin barks that this is a direct order. The kid has intel that could save tens of thousands of lives. She has to get him out. Martin turns his horse to face the advancing horde. He tells her to leave the rear guard to his old bones. Freya cries out for the third squad to break through the lines. She rides hard, holding Sufei tightly against her chest. Martin punches a skeleton in the face with a steel gauntlet. He tells the Madara scum never to underestimate a veteran of the November War. He rallies his doomed men for one final, glorious charge. By dawn, a horse-drawn carriage bounces down a rural dirt road. Sufei opens his eyes. He is resting in Roman's lap. She smiles through her tears, thanking the gods he is awake. Every inch of his body is screaming in pain.
Health weakened. 10%, bandage state, recovers 1 health daily. Unyielding talent traits. Once stabilized, the body enters a self-healing state.
Freya orders the convoy to halt and rest in a forest glade. Roman helps Sufei step down from the carriage. He insists he is fine. Freya points a finger at his chest and orders him to lie back down immediately. Sufei looks at her crest armor. He asks who she is.
I am Freya, captain of the Bucky Militia 3rd Squad, and I am ordering you to lie back down immediately.
Sufei stares at her in shock. He is looking at the future Valkyrie of the Holy Temple of Fire. He blurts out her noble heritage and her father's true identity as a Grand Knight. Freya blushes and stammers that her father is just a carpenter. 2 militia guards snicker, whispering that this kid has incredibly slick pickup lines. Freya turns around and screams at them to shut up. Sufei evaluates the squad. 7 tired militiamen. There is even a child in their ranks. It is proof of how corrupt and decayed the kingdom has become, drafting women and children to fight. He resolves to save as many of them as he can. The kingdom's revival needs good people. He walks up to Freya and asks where they are planning to go next. Freya says their orders are to escort him to the rear fortress at Riedenburg. Sufei points out they are walking the wrong way. He deduces that they found the main road blocked by monsters and were forced to detour through the forest path. Freya is stunned. He was unconscious the entire time. Sufei tells her it is basic military logic. The squad gathers around as he explains Madara's grand strategy. The enemy blocked the roads to cut communications. Now they are purging the pocket. He warns them that the enemy commander is the Black Lord Insteron. In the game lore, almost nobody survived this encirclement. Panic sets in. The guards argue over whether to turn back or keep running blind. Sufei lays out the 2 escape routes. The Western Valley takes 17 days. They will starve before they make it. The southern route hits Dagger River Beach. There is only 1 skeleton squad stationed there. He promises to break them through, but only if they obey his commands with absolute obedience. Roman clings to his arm and asks if they are going to die. Sufei smiles and tells her to trust him. A hostile militiaman named Makmi sneers that a wounded kid cannot lead them. Freya snaps at Makmi to be quiet and let him speak. Sufei lists the exact troop numbers at the river. Freya asks how he knows this. He taps his head. He tells her they must prepare for the worst, but strive for the best result. Suddenly, rustling sounds come from the bushes. Freya draws her sword. A bloodied militia soldier steps out from the trees. Freya recognizes him as Josen, but Sufei senses the trap immediately. He tackles Freya to the grass just as a lethal red magic beam blasts through the space where she was standing. A hooded necromancer steps out of the shadows, cackling about catching a bunch of mice. The squad screams at Josen for betraying them. Josen begs for his life, sobbing that the Lich forced him to lead the way. The necromancer casually blasts Josen into smoking ash. His red eye sockets glow under the hood as he turns to the squad. Sufei puts a hand on Freya's shoulder. The Lich executed the hostage just to break their fighting spirit. The necromancer raises his staff. Dozens of skeleton warriors erupt from the earth, surrounding the camp. Freya raises her sword and orders the 3rd squad to form a defensive line. They push the young boy, Finis, to the back of the formation. Sufei draws 2 daggers, engulfing them in cyan wind energy. He tells the Madara scum he is going to take out the trash. The battle begins. Freya swings her longsword, holding the front line against the undead. She knows everyone's stamina is bottoming out after marching all night. They have to kill the Lich to survive. Sufei stays back, analyzing the squad. They have courage, but 0 combat literacy. They will die of exhaustion against infinite skeletons. He starts shouting tactical orders. He reminds them not to attack blindly. He explains the skeleton attack patterns. They have a delayed reaction after every slash. That is the opening. He orders Makmi to pull aggro so Esson can strike. Makmi blocks a skeletal blade. Esson steps in from the blind spot. He shatters the skeleton's skull in a single strike. Esson looks at his hands in disbelief, calling Sufei a tactical genius.
Experience points +1.
Sufei smiles. It is a basic trick he learned from hundreds of dungeon grinds. But the necromancer is furious. He notices the glowing ring on Sufei's finger, a priceless artifact. Driven by greed, the Lich orders every single skeleton to abandon the militia and dogpile the wounded kid. Roman clings to him in terror. Sufei promises to protect her. He has exactly 1 hit point left. A stiff breeze could kill him right now. He orders Freya and Esson to ignore him and charge the Lich directly. Freya sprints down the hill, determined not to waste the opening.
Note: dark witchcraft originates from the Minor people who believe in the Dragon of Darkness.
Sufei knows exactly what spells a low-level Lich can cast. He shouts for Freya to interrupt the hand gestures. Esson leaps down and smashes his sword into the necromancer's magic pool. The illusion vanishes. Freya screams a warning. She sweeps her blade backward to block a shadow strike aiming for Esson's neck. The Lich teleported behind them using dark smoke. He glares at Sufei. He knows a mere militia boy does not have this kind of combat knowledge. Sufei tells him his identity does not matter because the Lich is dying today. The necromancer blasts Freya backward with a dark barrier. Her arrow wound tears open. She orders young Finnis to stay back. But the boy stands bravely in front of her with his sword raised. Su-fei charges into the fray alongside the kid, orchestrating the pincer attack. The squad coordinates perfectly, completely surrounding the boss. Freya leaps high into the air. She cuts the necromancer's staff arm completely off. The lich panics. He smells the corpse rot on Su-fei and realizes his health is critical. He chants a shadow step and vanishes into thin air. He is going for the instant kill. He appears directly behind Su-fei with a shadow blade. Su-fei spins on his heel in midair. He delivers a perfectly timed counter slash. The necromancer is sliced cleanly in half in a flash of cyan light. Meanwhile, at the Madara Vanguard Conference,
Madara Vanguard Army Commander, Vampire Baron Targus.
Necromancer Roscoe is kneeling on the floor, trembling.
That human scout slipped away, but I heavily wounded the Buxy militia.
Vampire Baron Targus slams his hands on the table, his pale face glowing with red fury. He silences the room. He orders Kabais to take the village by sunrise and dispatches his other generals to lock down the river beach. He unsheathes a dagger with a sinister grin. Once they take the fortress, they will be legends. The commanders salute in unison. Back at the forest camp, the militia is resting.
You are using battlefield first aid on yourself.
Su-fei burns his new experience points to learn Freya's healing skill. It is a massive money saver. Essen and Freya are arguing. They are completely out of food and will never survive the march to the fortress. Su-fei walks over and suggests they raid a nearby village for supplies. Essen thinks it is suicide to scout with the undead swarming. Su-fei asks for a map. Freya admits they do not have one. He forgot that in this kingdom, carrying an unauthorized map gets you hanged as a spy. He asks Roman to bring his sword. Using the tip of his blade, he draws a perfect tactical map in the dirt. Awin's military education is non-existent. The militia has never even seen a map before. No wonder they lost the war. He points out all the local landmarks and their exact position. He points to Qing village as their resupply target. Freya points out it has already fallen to the undead. Su-fei explains that skeletons only care about slaughter. They leave the grain and bacon completely untouched. He assigns Freya and Essen to come with him. Freya instantly objects. She demands he stay behind because of his massive injuries. She looks away with a soft, protective gaze. Su-fei asks how they plan to run an infiltration op without him. He has a secret reason for needing to go. Qing village holds a beginner divine artifact that will completely break his power scaling. He formally challenges her to a militia duel to prove he is fit for combat. Essen thinks he has lost his mind. Freya is the best fighter in the squad. Su-fei takes a stance and tells her not to hold back. Freya raises her sword with a powerful aura. Their blades clash. Su-fei winces. The girl hits like a truck.
Formation Swordsmanship, Kato Reverse Cut.
He executes a flawless high-tier parry. Freya's eyes go wide. He stops his blade right at her throat and asks if she yields. Back in the game, he learned this move from a mercenary for 2 barrels of bone line. Freya refuses to quit and swings again. Su-fei thrusts forward in a blur of blue motion. He disarms her instantly. The blade rests against her neck again. He sheathes his sword with a grin. Roman cheers while Essen stands in total shock. Su-fei asks if little Finnis wants a turn. The boy violently declines. Freya accepts defeat. The 3 of them depart for the village. Su-fei smiles. That legendary sword is waiting in the tomb. They trek through the dark woods. Qing village is burning in the distance. Crouching behind the bushes, Su-fei counts 5 tactical squads, about 60 skeleton soldiers and 2 liches. The liches are camped at the graveyard, using necromancy to revive the dead villagers and bolster their ranks. Freya is disgusted by the desecration. Su-fei points them toward the pasture granary. It is lightly guarded and full of smoked meats. Freya asks how he knows the layout so perfectly. He lies and says he stayed here as a kid. She does not buy it, but in reality, he has speedrun this dungeon dozens of times in the game. He tells them to go loot the food while he takes care of personal business. He promises to come back alive. He slips away into the shadows alone. Their side is a safe looting zone. His side is a lethal 5-player dungeon.
Entering level 5 dungeon, Tragedy of Qing Village.
He smiles. He used to farm this place until he threw up. 2 sentries block the alleyway. The dungeon has a hidden tomb that can only be cleared once. The Thorn of Azure Light is sealed inside. First, he has to dig up the key. He throws a rock to bait one of the guards. He drops down from a roof ledge directly behind it. 1 clean downward slash takes it out. The other 3 guards turn around immediately. He clashes blades in the narrow alley. His stats are still too low to use heavy strikes.
Formation Swordsmanship, Kato Reverse Cut.
He knocks a skull off with a reverse cut. 1 skeleton turns and runs for the square to raise the alarm. Su-fei delivers a flying kick right to its spine. He pins it to the cobblestones with his boot.
Basic Military Swordsmanship, Spear Throw.
He hurls his longsword straight down like a javelin. It impales the skeleton through the skull, pinning it to the dirt. He rips the skull off and crushes it with his bare hands.
Experience points +1.
He sits against the wall, panting. His stamina is completely drained. He used to carry newbies through this dungeon without breaking a sweat. He reaches an ancient tree near the shrine. The guide for him said the key is buried right at the roots. He has 3 minutes before the patrol arrives. He starts digging with his dagger. In the square, the undead discover the slain sentry and pinpoint his location. His blade hits metal. He pulls out a small wooden box. Inside is an ornate golden key resting on red silk. If the key is here, the sword is still waiting for him. Heavy footsteps rumble across the square. Dozens of skeleton soldiers pour into the alleyway. He is totally cut off. Half the village's garrison just cornered him. Over by the pasture, Freya and Essen hide behind a stone wall. Essen wants to attack, but Freya tells him to wait for the necromancers to drop their guard. Suddenly, the skeletons turn in unison and march away from the square. Freya watches them abandon their posts. She knows Su Fei must be causing chaos. Su Fei watches the horde bear down on him. It is a massive problem, but it also clears the field for his next move. He slashes his own hand with his blade. Dark spiritual energy erupts around him.
Talent, unyielding activated. Countdown, 4 minutes, 59 seconds.
The undead stop in their tracks. The talent tricks them into treating him like a fellow zombie. He walks casually right through the middle of the horde. He only has 5 minutes of immunity. The level 12 elites stare at him blankly as he passes. He arrives at the ancient cathedral shrine. The holy temple built this place to keep grave robbers out. He jams the golden key into the heavy lock. The floor tiles slide open with blue magic, revealing a secret staircase. The player who deciphered this lore quest was an absolute genius. He runs down the steps. The timer is ticking. He enters the central burial chamber. Paladin Gerande's stone coffin sits in the middle. Above it, a massive winged stone gargoyle opens its glowing red eyes. The gargoyle swoops down, claws extended. Su Fei barely dodges. The power gap is massive. The beast grabs him by his armor and rips him off the floor. It is a masterpiece wizard construct. The guide for him conveniently forgot to mention the giant flying death machine. He kicks off its chest and breaks free in midair. He lands in a cloud of dust and points his blade up.
Countdown, 1 minute, 10 seconds.
The gargoyle dives straight down for the kill. Su Fei raises his ring hand point blank and unleashes the wind bullet. A giant tornado blasts the beast in the chest. The impact slams it into the stone wall, cracking the masonry. The construct has insane defense. One spell is not enough. He has 50 seconds left. He leaps high into the air and drives his sword straight down into its chest core. The gargoyle shatters into stone dust under the fatal strike.
Experience points plus 30.
His body is getting impossibly heavy.
Countdown, 12 seconds.
He shoves the coffin lid open. Golden and blue light spill out. Sitting right next to the sword is a red glass bottle.
Holy water number 7.
He unplugs it and chugs it just as his timer hits 1 second.
Physical condition full. Health fully restored.
The holy water purges the corpse rot debuff entirely. He is finally back to full strength. He reaches into the coffin and lifts the legendary Thorn of Azure Light. Forged by elves, only 3 remain in the world. The spirit of Paladin Gerande manifests in a memory vision. He sees the mercenary-turned-hero leading troops in the Independence War. He watches the high priest knight him for saving the kingdom. The golden ghost of the paladin appears before Su Fei. The spirit holds out a hand, asking if he is willing to become his heir. Su Fei grips the ghostly hand tightly and accepts. The paladin smiles and fades into golden particles.
Quest to Live Gerande completed. Discovered class certificate for mercenary soldier. Requires 30 experience points.
This unlocks the built-in warrior skills. He mashes the yes button.
Congratulations, you have changed your class to mercenary soldier. Physical stats upgraded. Absolute strength 6.0. Class skill unlocked. Charge.
He flexes his new stats. This trip was a massive success. Heavy rumbles shake the tomb ceiling. Dust falls on his shoulders. He sweeps the rest of the tomb, pocketing the gargoyle amulet control unit and an extra potion. He dashes up the stairs. He is no longer an injured militia boy. His stats have surpassed an ordinary player. He bursts into the burning square, right into the middle of the skeleton sentries. He leaps into the air and swings the Thorn of Azure Light. The legendary sword deals double damage to undead. He bisects 2 skeletons in a single stroke. He moves like lightning, chaining high kicks and sword slashes effortlessly. The entire patrol is reduced to ash. He looks toward the pasture. Heavy smoke is rising over the granary. Dozens of skeleton soldiers are marching straight for Freya's position. A necromancer spots him and orders the horde to kill him. He has no time to waste. He activates his new class skill.
Charge. Increases speed by 10 times upon burst.
He bursts forward like a cannonball. The shockwave shatters the pavement. He streaks through the skeletal ranks in a blue blur. He slices the necromancer clean in half without even breaking stride. He stands heroically in the square. It is time to save his comrades. A Buxy Guard Patrol unit arrives on horseback.
Bucky, guards Vice Captain Brazen.
The guards look around the ruined square in utter shock. Vice Captain Brazen dismounts to inspect the remains. The sword cuts are perfectly clean. He assumes a master traveling knight passed through. A guard spots the dead lich. 7 guards together could not take down 1 lich. Brazen remounts and leads them further into the village to find out who did this. Su Fei is standing in the ruins, shouting for Freya. He needs her alive to save the kingdom. The patrol squad spots him. Brazen looks down from his horse, completely bewildered to find a local boy standing in the carnage. He arrogantly demands a full report. Su Fei ignores his rank and demands to know where Freya is. Brazen's face darkens. He tells Su Fei to give Freya his regards and to pass on the tragic news that her aunt was killed in the afternoon battle. Su Fei screams at him to shut up.
How is that possible? Auntie would not. How could this happen?
Freya collapses to her knees, weeping in the burning ruins. Su Fei stands in solemn silence. He could not alter fate after all. More skeletons rush into the square. Su Fei draws his azure sword, deeply irritated by their timing. Brazen charges forward to help. Freya channels her grief into fury, slicing through the undead vanguard. That night, the squad rests quietly around a campfire in the woods. A militiaman offers Essen a flask of fire wine looted from a dead soldier. Essen feels guilty drinking it. Su Fei stands on a hill with Freya, annoyed that he has to be the one to comfort her. She looks up at him with tearful eyes and asks why there has to be war. He tells her war is inevitable, but they can choose how to face it. He knows he is the only one who got a second chance to fight this war, and he plans to make it count. He asks if she is ready to become the guardian deity of the land. She quietly admits she is afraid. He looks her dead in the eye and promises that no matter how far she goes, she will never fight alone. She wipes her tears and smiles, finding her strength again. Su Fei vows to protect them all. The next morning, the squad rummages through the village for supplies. Su Fei happily loots the hidden stashes he memorized from the game guide. The militia stares in awe at the massive stockpile of grain and barrels he recovered. They whisper that he loots better than a bandit. Gamers just know how to search chests. He inspects a glowing silver half-body armor. It is a top-tier beginner item. He hands it to Freya. Brazen immediately scoffs, calling it a flashy, useless relic that is too heavy for combat. Freya straps it on and admits it is terribly stiff and unwieldy. Su Fei steps forward and whispers the magic activation command. Freya gasps. The armor glows and magically resizes to fit her perfectly. The weight vanishes. Su Fei grins at Brazen, calling him ignorant for not recognizing elite magic artisan gear. The United Patrol rides into Captain Martin's hidden forest camp carrying the wagons of food. The villagers cheer. Su Fei looks around the camp in concern. There is not a single scout posted at the perimeter. Captain Martin stands on a crate, rallying his men. He promises they will eat their fill and take the fight back to the undead. Su Fei grimaces. These green guards are no match for the regular Madara army. The entire kingdom must mobilize if they want to survive. Meat simmers in a massive pot. The villagers enjoy their first hot meal in days. Roman sits alone on a large rock under the stars. Su Fei asks why she is not joining the others. She sadly admits that the others think she and her aunt are weirdos. Su Fei suddenly realizes he cannot picture her aunt's face in Brendel's memories. Roman cheerfully explains she never met her parents, but her aunt raised her to repay her kindness. Freya walks up and tells Su Fei that Captain Martin summoned him to the command tent. Inside, Brazen is already shouting. Martin asks Su Fei for his strategic opinion on their counterattack. Su Fei casually asks if they have any idea how many undead are actually in the region. Brazen confidently reports seeing 2 distinct command flags, assuming it is just a disorganized mob. Su Fei corrects him. Madara's lords have fought each other for centuries. These are battle-hardened, massive-scale armies. The flags mean multiple organized legions are sweeping the area. Martin asks how a village boy knows top-level military intelligence.
Enough. How could you possibly know about the situation in Madara?
Su Fei ignores him. Martin orders Brazen to share their scouting data so Su Fei can analyze it. 5 minutes later, Su Fei breaks it down. The lich tailing them is a squadron leader controlling at least 20 liches. The skeleton general who leveled the village is commanding pale knights and black warriors. He has to be careful not to reveal too much game lore, or they will execute him as a spy. He explains Madara's 3 main factions: vampires, necromancers, and dark lords. He mentions the prophecy of the Quicksilver Staff of Loki unifying the factions. Martin remembers merchant rumors about a strange staff opening a gate. Su Fei confirms it is the Gate of Sighs. The treasury has been opened. This means the invasion is completely unified. They are being hunted by the necromancers, with the Dark Lords following right behind them. Martin cuts to the chase. He asks if there is a way to break everyone out alive. Su Fei points to the map. He tells them to head north across Dagger River Beach. He knows historically the enemy elite knights will be 2 days late arriving there. He pulls out the stone gargoyle amulet and claims he used it to spy on the undead deployments from the sky. Freya backs him up, assuming this is why he risked his life in the village dungeon. Martin steps outside and addresses the garrison. They will break through the vanguard at dawn while Brazen escorts the civilians across the river.
Dying to protect others is a warrior's destiny. I hope you keep this honor in mind.
Su Fei objects loudly. If they do not send the messenger ahead, the rear fortress will fall and the kingdom burns. Martin says they do not have the manpower to spare. Su Fei proposes a shortcut. Xavier Mountain Pass. Martin refuses. It is a dead end full of monsters. He will not order his men to die there. Su Fei volunteers to go himself. Martin praises his guts, but Su Fei insists he just needs one attendant to come with him. Roman happily packs supplies by the fire, thrilled to be chosen.
Rest assured, this will not stump me, a future great merchant.
Su Fei pulls a strange metallic card out of his pouch. It shows an armored knight over numbered dice symbols. He has never seen this item in the game. He asks Roman if she recognizes it. She assumes it is a tarot card. Su Fei puts it away safely. He suddenly shushes her. Brezen's squad is sneaking through the dark woods with their weapons drawn. Brezen is planning a mutiny to launch a preemptive strike against orders. Su Fei steps out to intercept them, asking what they are doing. Brezen draws his sword, screaming his hatred for the know-it-all kid. Su Fei parries the strike easily. He presses his blade against Brezen's neck and asks if he plans to silence him. The guards rush forward, but Brezen orders them to stand down. Brezen swings again. Su Fei sidesteps it casually. He tells the vice captain his moves are full of flaws and he could have killed him 3 times already. With a rapid flick of his wrist, he disarms the officer again. The azure sword rests at Brezen's throat. Brezen sweats in horror. The boy's swordsmanship is terrifying. Su Fei sheathes his weapon. Brezen yields, telling him to just finish it. Su Fei explains that trying to coerce Captain Martin with a mutiny will never work. He suggests a better plan. Sneak out quietly and leave one note behind. Brezen realizes he is right. Su Fei asks for their exact attack route to give them tactical advice. He directs them to the safest staging ground at Fox Forest and warns them how to resist Lich mind spells. Brezen is stunned. He asks why Su Fei is helping him when they hate each other. Su Fei extends his hand. They might hate each other, but they are both fighting for the kingdom. They shake hands warmly. The rogue squad rides off into the night. Su Fei silently wishes them luck. They will probably never see each other again. Back at the tent, Martin roars in anger when he finds the note. He covers his face in anguish. He just lost his most valued junior officer. But the mission comes first. He orders Freya to rally the remaining civilians for the river breakout and tells Su Fei to run for the fortress. Little Finnis begs to join the messenger run. Su Fei pats his head and promises to take him adventuring next time. Su Fei and Roman set out down the dark mountain path with a torch. They arrive at Xavier Mountain Pass. The place is a death trap. A corrupted golden magic tree spawned high-level wither beasts all over the canyon. Early game players get massacred here. But Su Fei knows the speedrun strat. Roman suddenly grabs his hand. She points to the bright blue glow radiating from his legendary sword. He realizes immediately that they are not alone. An undead scout unit is already here. He orders Roman to douse the torch immediately. Skeletons march through the dark pass below. Necromancer Roscoe is leading them, complaining about the terrain. To clear the path, Roscoe orders his men to fire explosive magic into the woods. Su Fei watches from a rock ledge. The magic tree feeds on mana. Firing spells in here is like dropping a match in a powder keg. Monstrous red-skinned elite wither beasts awaken from the rocks, roaring in a frenzy. They completely block the path. Su Fei tells Roman they have to climb the cliff face to bypass the slaughter. He scales the steep rocks, pulling her up behind him. Below them, the wither beasts tear the skeletons apart. Roscoe screams in terror and runs for his life. Su Fei rolls his eyes at the Lich's cowardice and urges Roman to keep climbing. Suddenly, Roman gasps and points across the canyon. Freya is scaling the cliff face right on the opposite side. Su Fei freezes. She is supposed to be at the river. Only 6% of you are actually subscribed. If you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing. It is free and you can change your mind whenever you want.